Okay, so today we're going to talk about spawning objects and destroying objects. It's something that I've often overlooked sometimes, and it's not trivial. It's not difficult, but not trivial. Also, because of time constraints, I'm going to just have to do these movies while I'm developing a project. I don't like doing this because I can sometimes ramble, run into problems, etc., etc. But please be patient. At least this way you can keep up with me. What I have here, you should be able to download from the class website. If you don't have this from a class website, I basically have created a bullet that's a green sphere that has a network transform, network identity, and a player that has a player rigid body, or just rigid body and a network transform. No scripts yet. I have a network controller as a normal network manager, and I have offline, online scene, and the player prefab. One thing I was going to mention, so here we get into today's topic. If I'm going to spawn an object, I need to have it in this list. So regardless if it's a network manager or lobby network manager, the object I'm going to spawn needs to be in here. So that's the first thing. This is the most common mistake people miss. This has to be a prefab, and this prefab has to have a network ID. Hence the reason I gave it a network transform. It does not have to have a network transform, actually. It just has to have a network ID. But in this case, our bullet's going to move, so we need a network transform. Excuse me. So, what are we trying to do here? Well, we're going to make a simple controller that we can rotate our character around, this capsule, and we can shoot bullets out the front. So we're going to start with that. And our goal here is to figure out, one, how to spawn objects, and then two, how to destroy objects. So there's going to be we're going to be kind of doing two scripts at once, per se. So we'll start with the character controller. Now again, I am not, what's the word, going to separate the network player and network and the game piece. So is this a bad, or could be a bad thing, as I'll explain later, but it's not necessarily, I mean, for now, we're going to keep it simple. So the previous example, we separated network player and a network game piece. I'm not going to do it for this example, but just be aware I could. So here we're going to say using Unity engine.networking. This is going to become a network behavior. Again, if I'm going too fast, please pause the video. This stuff I'm doing right now needs to come second nature. By the end of the semester, you need to be able to just, okay, I need to include this, extend this, blah, blah. Like, it's just what I need to do. So some of the stuff like the boilerplate code, you just need to commit to memory. We are going to have basically, I'm going to keep this really simple, so I'm not going to do any optimization of the movement, but you are going to have HP int HP equals 10, and that should be it for now. That'll be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine. Oh, no, that's not fine. I also need a float timer equals, let's say 0.5f. No, shoot timer. This is going to be a shoot timer. So, first things first, let's set up our movement. Again, I'm not going to optimize this. I could, I should, but I'm not going to optimize this one. So it will say float h, let's say x, float x, or x move, there we go, makes a little sense. X move equals input dot get axes raw, horizontal, float y move, actually it's going to be z move, equals input dot get axes raw, vertical. Now our control schema is actually going to be rotation, move forward, and move back. So what we're going to do then is we're going to say I believe, I always get this backwards, I believe I can just do, we'll see if I get it right now. So we can just do rigid body. We need to get a rigid body. So I do need a rigid body. Equals this dot get component rigid body. There we go. And this is going to have to be inside if is local player. And then we're going to say, we'll have to have command move. Again, I could copy and paste some of the stuff I have from the previous example, but this is just good practice for review. Remember, only the server can move the object, so I have to have command move is going to take a float x, float y. And this is going to be a command. So this can I can call this function as a command, but it will only be run on the server. If this character belongs to me, then I'm going to say, okay, command move. I'm going to set an X move and Y move, or Z move. All right, so I'm going to send a command. This is going to be, let's make this Z so it doesn't get confusing. So we're going to say myrig dot angular velocity equals, this is a vector 3, new vector 3, 0, and we'll rotate around the y-axis our x move. Again, this might be inverted. I have to double check. And then myrig dot velocity equals this dot transform, because this will work because this is the server, dot forward times z and say times 10. So if I'm not pushing forward, this will be 0, cancels it out. If I am, it'll be 1. So let me make this 5. There we go. So this should have my system up and running, and I should be able to move around with this. So let's see how that's working. So I'll put this over here. We'll add our network player to it. We'll hit apply. Now I've already got everything else set up, or should be set up. Oh, it's actually one more thing I have to do. I have to go to network controller and add the HUD. I don't have a HUD set up for it yet. There we go. File, save scene, save project. So over here in my game, I see LAN host. All right, so there I see, oh, I didn't. For some reason oh no, because I fell over. All right, so to click on our prefab and on a rigid body, we have to do not allow rotations around X and Z. And we're not really going to move up and down, so we can freeze there. Freeze rotations. So save scene, save project. Let's try that again. Okay, so here, okay. All right, fine. Fine. Physics wants to push it up. We'll let it push it up. Let's go back down here. we'll uncheck that one. So we'll allow it to move up and down, but we'll freeze the X and Z rotation. There we go. So now I can move. It's hard to see, but I am turning. So we'll have to fix that a little bit here. But yes, I am turning, so I am getting the movement effect I'm looking for. So in order to see where we're turning, we'll have to add like a little hat or something that show what direction's forward. So here, remember, the direction is going to be along the Z-axis. So I'm going to add a 3D object as a cube. Move it up. X will be 0.2. Y will be 0.2. And that will be about perfect. And then we'll hit apply, so we'll update our prefab. So now we have a little turret. So now if we run it, there we can see our turret is moving around slowly. There we go. All right. So that's basic movement. Now again, there's a lot of things I'm not doing correctly here for optimization. One, I should be using coroutines on my update. I've already explained why this is not a good practice, because this is really wasteful, especially since I'm sending a command 60 times a second. This is really bad. So we don't want to, so let's just make a coroutine for this, just so I don't feel like I'm a horrible teacher. We'll say public IE numerator. Nope. Numerator. Slow update. While true. There's a more elegant way of doing that, but we'll deal with it. And then here we'll say yield return new wait for seconds, 0.05. And what we'll do is we'll move this in here, Control X. Now, if I really, really wanted to optimize this, so this is not so bad, but if I really wanted to optimize this, I would check to see if the velocities were different. So I would do a client-side calculation of what I think the velocities are going to be here. And if my current velocities are different than what these inputs are, then I'm going to send a command. Otherwise, I wouldn't send a command. This will reduce the amount of commands I send substantially as well. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to worry about that one right now. Oh, and I need my if is local player too. Player. And we can just get rid of this update. We actually don't even need update anymore. I do have to start the slow update, so start coroutine slow update. There we go. All right, so now I've done it correctly, or more correctly. And we should see, because we're using a rigid body, we shouldn't see any lag in our system. Let me just verify that. Nope, pretty good. We could probably make the turning radius a little bit faster, but other than that, we're okay. All right. So now I want to spawn and despawn things, or destroy things. So I could set up like an HP system where we kill each other. I'm actually only going to spawn and destroy the bullets because that's all I need to do for this particular example, but you can fill in the rest. So how do we spawn things? Well, let's see. First of all, we want to set up a bullet system, and we want to use coroutine. So we have our shoot timer. So here, if, actually we need if can shoot, so if can shoot and input dot get axes raw. I always use jump because it's space, but you can use fire if you wish. It's greater than 0. In that case, we're now going to shoot something here. So can shoot is equal to false. We're actually going to start a coroutine and call a command. Now, this can get out of sync a little bit, but this again is an easy way to reduce the number of commands you send. And I don't have to necessarily use a sync var on this can shoot variable. And even better, I do not have to use a sync var on this shoot timer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a coroutine to reset can shoot on client, and I'm going to set it on the server. So the point that we're trying to get to here is we have public void command shoot, and we want to spawn a bullet. But we want to say can shoot on the server side is equal to false. Server side because this will be a command. And we're going to then call the same coroutine we call here to reset it. And so we're going to use a coroutine public. Actually, I should organize my script a little better here. Set up here public IE numerator. Wait for reload. Public or yield. Return new. Wait 4 seconds. Shoot timer. So I'm going to wait that long. Then I'm going to say can shoot is equal to true. So the first thing I'm going to do is if I can't shoot, I'm just going to end. So if can shoot, then I'm going to worry about shooting on the server side. So it's going to be a double check. But this is going to prevent me from having to have these two things as sync vars. You really, really, really do not want a timer to be a sync var because that will create a lot of network traffic. Every time this changes, you've got to send a packet. So we are here. We're going to call the command shoot. And then we're going to start the coroutine, wait for reload. And we're also going to do that down here. So notice we don't want to do this, we don't want to call a coroutine uncontrollably, so we're only calling this if we have shot. And we're only going to be able to shoot if can shoot is true. So we're only going to be calling this once every bullet. We're not going to be continuously calling this function. So this is actually pretty optimal. We don't have a sync var for our can shoot, and we don't have a sync var for our timer, both of which are really, really good. So now let's see if that works. Although let me make can shoot public so we can see if that's actually going to change, just to make sure that that's going to work the way we think it is. And we have to add one little thing here to be careful. If not is server. So this, if it's not the host, if it is the host, then we don't want to do this because the host is going to start this coroutine down here. So if it's not the server, we're going to start this. So we only want to run this once. If this was the host and we didn't have this if statement, this would start the coroutine. The command would call itself, and then since it can't shoot, it'd be false. And then it would be, so we're going to have another problem there, and then we would start the coroutine a second time. But we've set can shoot to false here. What we're going to do is we're going to set this false inside here. There. So if it's the host, we're going to call command shoot, then set to false and run the coroutine. If it's not the host or a server, then it's going to set the command false and run this. The reason we have to do it this way is we don't want to set this variable false if we are the host. So in the way the code I had it before would work fine except on the host. Remember, the host is a client that's running on the server. If I made these sync vars, I wouldn't have to worry about it. I could just set it in this command and I wouldn't have to do it here, but then I'd have to worry about updating the sync vars. The can shoot's not a big deal. The timer, however, is a big deal. So you could do it the other way too. You can make can shoot a sync var, and that might be more intuitive. This is just a way to do it without making can shoot a sync var. So whichever way makes more sense to you. So let's test this out real quick. And I'm going to say online, player clone, and where's can shoot? Okay, you see it's resetting, so it is working. All right,